All right, so we are recording again. My name is Luke Angstad. This is my podcast, Knowledge Wars. I am the author of the book, The Musings of De La Pew. It's a 20-year investigation of the nature of reality, the nature of the universe, God, human beings, and the relationship between all of them. I am here again with one of my recurring guests, Bob, and also new friends of mine who I've met through that are also mutual friends of Bob. I have Danielle here, and I also have Albert. So with no further ado, we can, Danielle, if you want to introduce yourself, and also Albert can introduce himself as well, and then we can get into the conversation here.
Hi, I'm Danielle. Last name is Hewitt. I am actually a musician and artist around Charlotte. I did have a Facebook, or I'm not Facebook, a YouTube channel, which I still have it. I just don't do anything on it. Celestial Piper, where I was exposing the truth and stuff like that and trying to help wake people up. I'm basically just a truth seeker. So I do a lot of research and stuff like that. Do not claim to be a scholar whatsoever. And I have not written a book, which is super cool. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell, just trying to seek the truth and putting it out there.
And Albert, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm Albert Rodriguez. Been working construction most of my life, and yeah, most of my life I've had a sense or feeling that things were off, and yeah, kind of put me on a path to seek out the truth, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's why Bob even put me in touch with you in the first place, Albert. So I mentioned that in conversations with Bob before, that I felt this my entire life, that something is profoundly off and just broken with with the world. Fundamentally, I felt this since my first day of preschool. And
Wow.
yeah, so that's what this channel, that's what this YouTube channel is about. This is what my book is about, and that's what that's what we're all about right now, is trying to wake the world up. Waking up our friends, our family, our neighbors to just what the hell is going on this planet, and that there is a global power and control system that has been running the world for thousands of years, and now it's come out of the shadows and it's not even hiding anymore, and it is making its final push for world domination and control, and just case in point, I mean it's so how synchronistic it is that the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, a day or so after we come up with these new gun laws. I mean, it is all coldly calculated to incite and to provoke, to inflame people's just they're out of control emotional states. In the first, people are at their wits' end, and they're doing everything to stoke the fires of discontent. And I mean, that's what it's there. It's to piss off the people on the left even more. It's also to piss off the people on the right, even to dig in their heels even more. And it's all coldly calculated to obviously to provoke war, to provoke something akin to a civil war, not just in the United States, but I mean global war as well, where it gives the UN and the federal government every right to step in and declare martial law at some point. But we see where this is going, and it's just one domino after the other. So yeah. Bob, what are your thoughts on that? As far as, I mean, we see it, it's just step by step by step. And when you know the plan, you can see the obvious, you can see how the obvious play is here, right? With the timing of Roe v. Wade to coincide with the new gun laws, with the new strict the red flag law.
I agree. Guns. Yeah. Maybe 10 years ago, if this happened, I would have said like, oh, this country is, we're getting back to where we belong. But the way things are going, this is there's too many coincidences, right? So, I mean, it's too scripted. I mean, at this time, are you kidding me? Even I was talking to Jack yesterday, my son, and we just briefly, and, I've told you how it goes in my house. I'm getting better, so we don't argue as much, but we can still discuss. And I asked him what he thought. And him as a 22-year-old who's kind of like, why now? Like, this country is falling apart. Why now? Why are you doing this now? And the next one is gay marriage. And I'm not saying it should have never happened to begin with. It's all not accurate for the way the Constitution is written.
Mhm.
But why now? That's all I got to say.
I just thought of another one, that how they-
People a little bit of hope, but yet it's just a play. That's all.
Well,
My
I know it's
opinion.
always, yeah, the Roe v. Wade gets overturned. Then you have these new red flag, the gun laws get stricter. And then I thought of the one that the domino that happened right before that is the experimental drug shot that changed the human genome has now been approved for 6 months old. So you talk about how coldly calculated it is, and it comes back to a recurring theme in Bob and my conversations that we've been having over the past couple of weeks, is that they overwhelm people with information, right? They just give people too much, and people to the point where people just throw their arms in the air and say, I can't keep up with it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What bothers me is seeing all the Christians say on my Facebook going, yay, a win for God, but they're not seeing all the stuff that we see. You know what I mean? They're going, oh wow, this is a win for God, which only fuels the other side, back and forth, constant fighting. So again, another plan of division that we're seeing. And that's exactly what they want. They feed off of fear, they feed off of any kind of negative kind of energy that is put out there. And Bob brought up the gay marriage thing and stuff like that. Well, here's my thought on it. Why the hell is the government involved with medical stuff and all that stuff anyway?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Do you understand? You know what I mean? They're not God. I mean, why are they involved in all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So, but these are things not everybody questions. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really doesn't matter what my opinion is. It's just that I think government is just too involved in certain things. It's all about control and all that stuff. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. There's been homosexual activity ever since the beginning of creation. But so
Yeah.
why in the past 20 years has it gotten to the point that it is now? Like if it would have just been left alone, right? It would just still be here like always. And
Well,
it's
I
like,
mean, what is marriage anyway? I mean, marriage really isn't a piece of paper.
Well,
Right?
and I was talking
Oh,
to
Albert,
Bob
looks like you want to jump
the
in.
other day. Yeah, I was talking to Bob about this the other day, and the fact that really marriage, the idea of it, as far as I'm concerned, comes from the Bible, in that it's a sacred union between a man and a woman. So why would you want this Christian construct when it's just, to me, it seems like a chance to defile a rule or law of God, or how God sees something, in the fact that it's between a man and a woman.
No, I hear you. It's like taking a chair and calling it a teacup, right? I mean, you're just trying to not just reinventing, but you're redefining words. I mean, you're absolutely right. That's what marriage is. It's a sacred contract between a man and a woman and their God. So they're just again, they're rewriting words, and I mean, they're redefining words, they're redefining language, and they're weaponizing the language, and it's specifically, and in this case, what a marriage is. Right. I mean, they're just weaponized. They twist and distort and pervert the definitions of words. And this is another thing. It's part of their modus operandi.
Looks what it's led to, right? Like even my son yesterday said, you give them an inch, they take a mile. Look at, so they passed the Supreme Court gay marriage, whenever that was, 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, like the younger generation, that's all they know. That's why I really have to stop and consider when I talk to my kids or younger people, that they were born into this, right? And so when now all of a sudden, when they hear the Supreme Court says abortion, they don't say it's illegal, but that's the way it's portrayed, right? Every state can decide. But when they hear this, they're just like, like I said, this is all they know. All they know is abortion is okay, gay marriage is okay, but then it's led to, and it's really sickening, the gay marriage thing has led to where we are today with the transgenderism, with the LGBTQ plus whatever. That's where it started. And now all of a sudden you're going to pull the rug out from that mass of people, however large it is. And I think we're being lied to when we think that it's a huge number. I don't really think it is. But at the same time, you can't just let people go on doing their thing and keep on giving. At the end, take it all away without chaos. I mean, think about it. You couldn't treat your kids like that. Nothing. Nothing in society can be done that way. But yet they're doing this to the whole country at one time.
And Danielle, you brought up a great point a few minutes ago about when did it become the government's business to control medicine and the entire health field? I mean, how this is again, it gets to the point where what is the purpose of government, and how we've gotten so far off track where the purpose of government is I mean, we've gotten to the point where people think the government is there to take care of people from
Yeah.
the cradle to the grave, that they're
Like their
there
mommy
to
and
watch
daddy.
over every move, right? To watch over every move they make. Yeah. When the government is something that where the people elected, I mean, it's just crazy.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I feel that way with the homosexual community as well. Now, it doesn't matter what my beliefs are with that at all. It's just why are they controlling this stuff? It's
Mhm.
them and God, what they do, what their choices are, stuff like that. There's no reason this stuff should be government control. You know,
Mhm.
like for example, I'll use Jesus as an example. When he was at the well with the woman, you know, she said something about, you know, he's not my husband. And he said, well, yeah, you had like 5 or something. I don't know the exact scripture,
Mhm. No,
but
yeah.
it wasn't that she had a piece of paper saying she was married. You know what I mean? A marriage is that connection between the man and woman.
Mhm.
So, you know, it just blows me away. I see this and I'm like, here we go, government control. So they can give and then they can take it away and take it away. And all this does is just fuel more anger, whether it's right
And division.
or not, you know.
Mhm.
But anyway,
What do we think could wake people up? And this is something that Bob and I were talking about before. So these are great questions that I wanted to run by Albert and Danielle. But we say, I mean, and Bob and I kind of agree with Bob is that until this struggle is brought to people's doorstep, and until their survival is threatened, until they don't know how they're going to cover their mortgage or their rent for the month, or how they're going to find where their groceries are coming from when they go to the grocery store and the shelves are empty, when gas is, you know, $10 a gallon. I mean, what is it going to take for people to finally say, okay, our government does not have it. The government doesn't have our best intentions in mind, to say the very least. What's it going to take? What would you hold up there? I mean, and it's what I didn't see that.
Yeah, hold it up again, Danielle.
Hold it up
I
again.
don't know how it comes across your
That
screen
comes up good.
Yeah, you're
backwards
not
or
going to
not.
wake anybody up anymore. We're basically at end game. Yeah, I think we are too. Yeah, and I had a very good
And then
friend
the
of mine.
bottom,
Why didn't somebody say something? Yeah, I mean, I think
that's
we're
basically what's going to happen. That's
we're to the point where people are going to be laying in the streets bleeding to death after the revolution passed through, and they
Why
still
didn't you
don't know
tell
what the hell
me?
hit them, right? They still won't know what the hell happened, and we're at that point. Yeah,
And
unfortunately.
I hate to say it, I'm not a person who loses hope easy. Yeah,
Mhm.
I always try to see the shining lining, you know. I always like to see both sides to things. That's how I am. But right now I look out there and I'm like, I don't think really many more people are going to wake up. If they're not awake
Yeah.
or even
I agree. I agree, and I want to get Albert's opinion in a moment. But I'm like 2 months ago, I went to the Sarasota Bradenton Airport after the day they lifted the mask mandate, and I was interviewing people with another freedom fighter friend of mine here in Sarasota. And for every 25 people we spoke to, 22 people could not give a shit less about the mask. I mean, I was met with complete apathy over it, and that staggered me. It really did. I mean, I realized that 85% of the population here in the most consider one of the most, I mean, maybe the most conservative, freedom loving places in the world, Florida, in one of the more conservative counties in Florida, Sarasota County, and 85% of people could not give a shit less about the mask. I mean, they're at the point where they are willing and ready to do. They're ready to crawl on their bellies for the rest of their lives if the government tells them. That's what they showed me. And so, and I agree with you, Daniel. I think we are at endgame. And Albert, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think there's any way? What else can we do, or what will it take to wake people up, or is it even possible anymore?
Well, you know, there's times when I've talked to Bob, and you know, for me, the amazing thing about God is that man faltered, and God still has faith in man.
Mm-hmm.
you know, he says when the chips are down, when it all comes down to it, we're down at the end, we'll still come through. So I still have faith. I think I don't know how many more people will be woken up, but I think it's happening more and more as time goes on. But then, you know, that little tidbit of information about the people down in Florida is a little disconcerting, really. But yeah, I think I still have.
No, I had
think
hope with
it's
Florida.
still going to happen. It's just I don't know it'll ever be the numbers that we desire or expect, but I think little by little they'll continue to wake up.
Yeah, and there's a part of me that thinks that this is all written, you know, in eternity. I mean, there's this, the Jews have an idea of this, the Akashic records, where everything that has been, is happening, and will happen is written on in the book of eternity. So I think that there is, I think there is some Calvinistic determinism here, where we do everything we can, and that's part of it. I mean, we do everything we can, but ultimately, I think that it could very well be written on the face of eternity. So whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Yeah.
We certainly can't stop it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
No,
That's for sure. So whatever we want to think about that, all we can do is, you know, try to reach those that are in our sphere of influence, or even go outside of that little sphere and try to get people to see. And then when the shit hits the fan, don't be like, I told you so, and whatever. Still, okay, now let's maybe. And I do think that, like, for my own, I don't really that much not worry, but I don't even, I'm not that concerned about out there anymore like I was at the beginning. Like, if people would wake up, this wouldn't happen. That's done. It's happening, right? People didn't wake up. We've allowed this to happen for 2 years, so it's happening. So my concern now is mostly my family, my kids who are not oblivious. They know the world is bad. It's a mess. It's a scary place. But understand what's really happening. Don't just look at it and be like, oh my gosh, you know, like my son Jack would say, like, oh yeah, everything's going to collapse, but I'm young and it'll all rebound. And so I'm in a good place. I'm not old like some people ready to cash in with their 401k. I'm young. And so I have a chance that'll be the time to buy. And the baby, you know, and I'm like, oh, like, are you kidding me? Like we're going to get back to something that is close to what we had before. Number one, I don't want that, because that's crazy once you really see what's happening. But so that's the thing. But how does that happen other than through just experience, watching things evolve in real time, and us being the ones that know what's happening and still trying to convince those we love that, like, hey, here's what's really going on.
And you make a great point about it not being a matter of you telling people, hey, I told you so. And if and when the moment ever comes, the day comes when people wake up to it. And that's a very Christian principle where the man comes to Jesus, says, you know, how many times, you know, should I forgive my neighbor? And Jesus says, what, 7 times? And then he comes back and says, okay, I forgave him 7 times. It's 7 times 7 times. And then it's no, okay, well, I forgave him 7 times 7 times. Well, it's 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. And the point is, you just continue to forgive until the moment you just forgive, right? I mean, you do not. I mean, otherwise, I mean, we talk about the bitterness of the soul if we don't always have a forgiving heart. And
seven's the number of completeness.
What's that? Yeah.
I'm just sorry. 7's the number of completeness. You know, so you know, why did he say 7 times? You know, and I kept saying 7 times 7 times. It's like. The love, you know. Sorry for interrupting.
No,
I just got excited with the number. I like that symbolic stuff.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Bob, but you introduced me to somebody who speaks my language. So
hey, Albert too. Like I said, I told Luke at the beginning, I'm going to be the third wheel in this whole deal, and I'm cool with it. You know, I'll just sit back and listen to you guys go. Because me and Albert, we can't talk about it today because we're going to run out of time because it's deep. And I did talk to Danielle a little bit about it. Is you guys explore different things that I've never even considered, like the lost history stuff that we were all talking about recently. And it's real. And, you know, once again, we're never going to know, but there's some interesting things happening that are really worthy of this deep discussion for sure. That start to make a little bit more sense of the madness that's happening. And, you know, yesterday after you and I talked, Albert, and after you and I texted Danielle, I felt this sense of peace, and I can't even explain it. I'm like, wow, like maybe this is the deal. And not that it's going to change anything, because we're still getting ready to face a lot of crazy stuff and it's not going to be fun. But I just felt this sense in my soul that things are making a little bit more sense. That's all. And I know, Luke, you're the same way. So.
And I had a level of excitement, is the only way I can explain it, all day yesterday. Like we talked earlier, and I continued on some of my research, had to go to my brother's, but wow. You know, Bible says the time of the end, the truth will come out. And this
I agree, because I mean, yeah. I mean, go ahead, Albert. I'm sorry, I was losing your audio a little bit. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this vein of learning that I'm going down right now is pretty interesting, and I think it'll put a lot of things in perspective. But it all revolves around that Linda book. So,
oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that book. Yeah.
Linda, do you know about that, Danielle? I don't even know what that is until Albert told me. Linda.
What is it?
Albert, go ahead. Linda.
It's spelled OERALINDA. It's
No, I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah, it's basically a book that's a compilation of ancient stories written in houses in different parts of towns up in the up in and around Norway and that sort of area of the world. Man, it's crazy. Anyway, so basically it's a bunch of old ancient stories that, when there's a few different historians that are working on missing time in our recent history, whether it's 700 to 1300 years. But this Linda book goes into a lot of different things in ancient history, from the Scythians and the Frisians down to South America. Yeah, it touches a lot of different things.
That's awesome.
I ordered the book. I've been watching a few videos, of a gentleman that read it, until I get the book. So I can't really speak a whole lot to what's in it, other than that. But it's really, really interesting.
But you know what I find interesting is that I think the problem that people have too, they're so, I don't know what we'll just say it's conditioned to believe certain things just by default. You were told this when you were young, whatever it might be. And anything that gets outside of that idea is crazy, right? And so nobody wants to even go there except people like us, obviously. And I find it very interesting that God has put you three people in my life. Nobody knows anybody on this screen at all, except through my association. And it's amazing because I think that everybody needs, what did I say yesterday, Danielle? I mean, crazy loves company, right? And so we need to support each other. And if I just heard Albert talk, sometimes I think like, yeah, well, that's just some crazy dude out there. But then I meet Luke and he's on the same page as Albert. And then I know Danielle and she's on the same page as you guys. So I'm thinking,
I probably sound crazier.
Well, that's the point. And you mentioned the word crazy, Danielle, as did Bob, but we're not crazy. That's the whole point.
I joke when I say that. No, so to say that there's lost history of 1,000 years. So most people be like, what are you, nuts? But think about how simple that is to accomplish. What do we know except what we're born into? So all you got to do is take it back a couple generations and forget it. You can do whatever you want to do.
And to Albert's point there, Albert, I mean, there's a guy named Max Egan. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Max Egan, but he's Danielle, you're nodding your head, but there's a guy, he's an Australian, his name's Max Egan. I know he, David Icke posts some of his videos.
I know that guy too.
But Max Egan, to Albert's point with the Linda book, I mean, Max Egan has done videos on lost history and how actually and he talks about how there's a lot of evidence to support that there was a great reset towards around the beginning of the 20th century, so about 120 years ago, and he gets into the story of how the organs in these massive cathedrals, how we would have great difficulty building all the massive organs in the old cathedrals that date back 500 years, 300 years, and even older than that, and how these organs, and he gets into Nikola Tesla and the free energy source in the ionosphere. But I'm getting off topic here a little bit. But the matter is, these cathedrals, they were the vibration of the organs. The purpose of these cathedrals, it was to rebalance and reharmonize, people's vibrational energy fields, to harmonize us. So I mean, we're talking a very advanced technology there that people have known for at least for well over 500. I mean, in 500 years, it's just not even scratching the surface. But the point is that there was a lot of evidence to point to the fact that they were rewriting history as early as early or as not too far into the recent past as the year 1900. So I mean, this concept of the Great Reset. I mean, nothing's new. I mean, nothing new is under the sun, and yeah, there is so much evidence to support that. And you just have to look around. You just look around your world, and especially looking at history, none of it makes sense. I mean, the official story, none of it makes sense. And I see the world coming to.
But it's just like everything else.
I mean,
everything we're seeing. It doesn't make sense, but to tell people history was rewritten and that's not how it happened. Oh no, that can't be it. But so then you could say, well, then how were the pyramids built? Just say that's another example that I like, because it's crazy. They say that we couldn't
Sound
build
frequency
pyramids today that accurately, the way they're set up and designed. But so we would choose to say, oh, we don't know, but that's not the answer, right? Like maybe aliens did it, whatever, but it certainly couldn't be that we've rewritten history and we've been here before. That makes no sense to anybody.
Well, I mean, like when Bob asked me yesterday what I thought about that, because he was talking about Albert talking about history being rewritten. And I said to him, I'm like, well, the victors write history. They're in control of history. So, you know, we're not the victors, unfortunately, right now. We will be, but I like to keep positive. But the victors write history, and for example, the Romans, huge, and I don't think they've ever fallen.
Yeah, they haven't. No, they're the Vatican. Yeah, they just became the Vatican. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and they're huge controllers of history. I don't know if you've heard of Mario Biglio, I think his name is.
Not familiar.
Okay, so he was asked, long story short, to do translations of the Bible, and I could have his name wrong, for the Vatican. And what he came up was some of the stuff you and I were talking about on the phone, which is a huge rabbit hole, and I don't want to get into it. But just in regards to Elohim, Yahweh, things like Testament, and then he's written a book on it.
Well, I mean, I come back to March 2020 when the governments of the world were able to convince people that that in order to save society, you lock down society. That in order to save the world, you're going to lock down the world. When you can get away with a lie like that in the 21st century, in the year 2020 AD, and 99% of people fall for it, you get away with anything. And so it's like it just makes all of history suspect. Just that in and of itself. I mean, again, a cursory investigation of 9/11, shows that it was an inside job, but heaven forbid you go there, because it requires people to completely reassess everything that they've been known or have been taught, their entire lives, and people don't want to go there because it's scary. It's scary to even consider that your foundational beliefs and what the world is and history is wrong. That scares people, so they won't even entertain that idea. But I think also I wanted to come back to what's going on right now with how the power, the people in power. I mean, our world's governments are making they have accelerated their push for the global takeover just in the past week. I mean, with obviously the approval of the experimental drug to change the human genome for 6 months old. Then we have the red flag gun laws coming. Then they overturned Roe v. Wade. I mean, obviously the monkeypox is somewhere hiding in the shadows too. But they are bringing out new manufactured crises over and over quickly. I mean, in quick succession. I mean, they are just hammering people, one after the other, and they're not even giving people a moment's breathe right now. So, what's that? Go ahead, Danielle. So
I said Biden's psychic. He says we're going to have another pandemic coming.
Yeah, the second one's coming too. So, I mean, they are, but I mean, again, I bring this up because I feel like there has to come a moment where people do wake up. They have to. There has to come a moment, and it is biblical, but people have to wake up.
People in New York were lined. I don't know. People in New York were lined up for the monkeypox virus, for the vaccine.
For the shot, yeah.
Lined up.
Yeah.
The little boys and girls do what they're told.
So
really, it's sad.
Yeah.
What do you say, Danielle?
Oh, I just said, really, it's sad. I shouldn't be smiling, but it's kind of a coping mechanism for me
It
because
is,
just
yeah.
Yeah, me as well.
I get
We
really
laugh, we joke.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I just feel like I know it's sad, but even more than that, it's just pathetic. I mean, this world is that's what it is. I mean, evil itself, evil with a capital E, it's pathetic. I mean, it has no strength. I mean, it's just everything is smoke and mirrors, and everything is secretive behind the scenes, hiding in the shadows, the inversion of reality, the inversion of truth. You know, water is no longer wet, the sky is not up, grass is not green. I mean, the sun isn't hot. I mean, everything is based upon deception. And it's ultimately just weak and pathetic. Our world is weak and pathetic. That's what it is.
Well, to say something about the Illuminati's belief system, if this
Mhm.
helps anybody, is they always announce things some way, somehow, whether it's the president announcing something like he's psychic, or it's a movie, which is predictive programming, or even watch the media, although I don't watch the media, but they'll do repetitive things over and over again.
Mhm.
Their way of getting out of karmic ties. This is their belief system. So if they put it out there some way, somehow, in a nonchalant manner, that's their way of running away from their karma, negative karma.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to throw that out there because I do a lot.
Yeah, I knew they did that. I didn't know the reason behind it. So that's interesting. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what people say. Oh, they have to tell you the truth. Okay. And
They don't think they're evil. They don't think they're evil at all.
Oh, no, no.
They think they're
I get it.
doing the good of everything.
Yeah.
I've also heard from reliable sources that the Illuminati's great work, what they believe to be their great work, is correcting the error of the duality of this universe. You know, right and wrong, good and evil, light and darkness. They believe that it is their job to make a synthesis of all the contrasts and all the opposing forces in our universe. I mean, I've had Danielle, you're not. I see you nodding your head. I'm guessing you're probably familiar with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a book I'm reading. It's a hard read because it's a lot of stuff in it. But yeah.
That's what I mean, they pretty much see the act of creation, creating the light and the dark and all the contrast in the universe as being the great error of existence, and it's their work to correct that error. Yeah.
Do you think that's part of the agenda with, everything, man, woman, men getting pregnant,
Excellent
transgender?
point, Bob.
There's like, so I said this to Albert yesterday, and even, the races, right? Like
Masculine, feminine.
About that. Like you put it all together and you have this generic, there's nothing unique anymore.
Excellent insight, Bob. You're absolutely right.
Guys are saying, that really is their goal, and they see that as being a good thing.
They do. Yeah.
More or less.
They'll tilt it to either too much feminist or feminism or too much masculinism, where we need that balance. They both play an important role. God, the creator of all, it's both feminine and masculine, but they make it lean towards too much on one end or too much on the other on purpose.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone noticed, up in the upper left-hand corner, we were at 1 minute here. So we just the less than a minute threshold, when I think this was a great start to the conversation. It's nice to know that it flies, but I kind of feel comfortable with the 40 minutes because in order to build up an audience, I mean, we could go on and on forever, but obviously, Danielle, in our conversation yesterday, after about 20 minutes, most people are gonna
start losing anyway.
People. So I thought this was I had a great conversation, and I would love to do this again with all three of us, whenever our schedules align.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm easy. So you just tell me when.
Okay, so we are probably around 30 seconds. So I will bid you all adieu until the next time. Have a great day.
All righty. See you
You
guys.
too.
Have a great day, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.